Hi, I'm Grant, this is Dad Crafted, and this is a French Cleat Wall for tool storage. Alright, let's go. Hey, I moved. So, moving means new shop, and that's why I've got this blank wall behind me. I lined my old shop with a bunch of French cleats all the way down the wall, and then my other walls had them all over the place too. But anyway, I have another video where I made tons of these things that are just basically different tool holders that you can hang on a French cleat wall. Circular saw holder, but I don't have any French cleats, so anyway, that's what we're making today. Basically the entire shop is in a state of disarray, so since I made so many of these storage solutions that hang on the walls, they're all over the floor and in boxes, and the place is basically a disaster area until I can get some cleats up and get this place organized again. So let's do it. Hey, it's me from the future. So let me really quick explain how a French cleat system works in case you have no idea, have never seen this before. Skip ahead if you know how this works, or just listen anyway. So anyway, French cleat is basically where you take a strip of wood, sheet of plywood, whatever, and rip down a cut at a 45-degree angle, either on your table saw or the circular saw. Like that. You basically make a bunch of slats where the 45-degree angle part is up and not touching the wall, and then you build your little attachments where the 45-degree pointy piece is facing down and will sit flush against the wall here. And then gravity takes care of it. And then you just make all these fun little attachment things, glue caddies, lamp racks, this stupid thing, something to hold your Thor hammer, whatever you need. And then you can always move it wherever you want. So, good way to be organized, right? So, back to the video and see how we did all this.
Alright, so this is why people don't move in December. Not only do I not have a shop, I can't really use the inside of the shop, so to the great outdoors to rip down some plywood. First, you want to set your circular saw at a 45-degree angle. And then you want to adjust your blade depth so that basically just the tip of the saw blades come out from the bottom of the plywood. That'll help prevent a bunch of tear out later. Here I'm just lining up where my first cut's going to be. For safety's sake, I'm just making sure that the whole guard of the saw is going to be flat on the plywood. The width of this first cut doesn't really matter, and you'll see why here in a second. And then here, I'm just making a mark every 2.5 inches. That's kind of the width I settled on. And this isn't a line for where the cuts are going to be. This is just a line for where the guard is going to rest for each cut. And then I do matching lines on the other side of the sheet of plywood. I don't own a track saw, so I use a 1/2 inch piece of OSB as my guide rail for my circular saw. Just line it up with each line that I made previously and clamp it down. So then I just get to cutting. And this first piece won't match the others because it won't have the 45-degree angle on both sides. And it's not the same thickness, but that's okay. I'll save this piece and someday I'll use it to make some French cleat holders. Then it's just the simple process of moving my guide rail OSB piece to the next line over, clamping it back down, and cutting all the way down. And then I repeat that for as many strips as I want to make, and in this case there's 8 of them. And then time for everyone's favorite thing to do in the shop, sanding. If if I had my table saw here, I would probably run each board through and cut off about a 1/16 of an inch just to make this a little bit more dull. But I just moved and my table saw is at my brother's house, so rough sandpaper. Just gonna flatten each one of these off so there's not as sharp and not as splintery. Alright, so then it's time to get these on the wall. First step is to find the studs. You should be able to find the studs 16 inches on center, but in my time I've found that builders don't often really care about garages, so I would double check anyway. And then I was able to get a screw into each end of the 8-foot board.
Gotta get that all out of the way. Yeah.
Then get things level and do some marks where all your drill holes need to go. And then drill all the holes. And then line her up where you want it and screw everything into the studs.
Okay, so this is why I didn't mark all the boards at once. I wanted to get one up and make sure I was in the studs, and I missed one, of course, which I don't understand. Sure looks like I'm on it. Go to the left, I guess. That's why you should have multiple batteries. I'm trying to get off of 18 volt. My batteries are broken, cracked, and they just suck. Got it. All right. Perfect. Now we'll just set a cleat right in there. Use pencil, mark all the holes. No, you're good. You're good. There we go. Do that all the way down.
Then I get all the boards lined up even with the one that I had already marked where the studs are on the very top. Then I grab myself a T-square and make marks on every single board where the studs should be. Then I drill a bunch of holes. Countersink bit, of course. Alright, finally putting them on the wall. I decided to space mine 12 inches apart, and that's basically 12 inches from the bottom of one to the bottom of the next. Nothing fancy here, just using a level to straighten things out. I try to line these up as best I could on the sides, and just screw them into the studs. One thing I probably should have done instead of eyeballing it was making a line on either the left or right side, just to kind of make sure everything was perfectly in line, but it's good enough for me. I ended up with 8 slats, made it all the way up to the ceiling, about 6 inches or so down, enough room to hang some cleats, and I'm probably about 12 to 18 inches off the floor. With everything done, time to put all my holders back on the wall. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I've got another YouTube video that you should check out that'll be linked above or below or wherever, where I made all these different holders, and you can see how I did it.
Alright, so that about wraps this video up. One thing I could have done different that I did in the last shop that I didn't do here, when I got all these cut and sanded, I actually stained them and polyed them before I put them on the wall. You could choose to do that. I am eventually going to paint this whole thing anyway, so I'm going to wood fill all the holes and prime and paint, but that'll come later when I decide to, you know, make my shop look like it came out of Star Wars. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you learned something, and maybe if you have any other ideas for future cleat things that I could do that you didn't see in my other video, maybe leave them in the comments, let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one.